The Mason ranks within the Trump government. Let the initiate be cloaked in silence. But never forget that silence is not the absence of speech. It is the mask of consent. Albert Pike, Morals and Dogma. Donald J. Trump, esoteric status. Masonic affiliate, honorary. Jesuit-educated, Chabad crown bearer. Jesuit initiation. Fordham University, 1964-66. A premier Jesuit institution. Though he transferred to Wharton, the Fordham connection places him within Jesuit grooming networks. Masonic affiliation. Not a known ritual initiate, but widely acknowledged by researchers as Masonically aligned via honorary orders and Chabad Zionist esoteric sponsorship. Chabad link. Through daughter Ivanka's conversion and marriage to Jared Kushner, Trump became symbolically sealed by the Lubavitch dynasty, which declared him a Cyrus figure for Zionist prophecy. Jared Kushner, Masonic rank. Not public but high-level Kabbalistic initiate, Chabad Messianist line. Groomed within Chabad by Rabbi Beryl Lazar and Rabbi Levi Shemtov. Financier of 666 Fifth Avenue Project. Numerological invocation of Saturnian Gate. Alleged handler of multiple back-channel operations between Mossad, UAE, and Saudi Arabia. Spiritual rank. Kabbalist Messianic proxy within Lubavitch eschatology. Mike Pompeo, Masonic rank. Member of Knights of Malta, documented. Opus Dei adjacent. Former CIA director, Secretary of State. Trained at West Point, then Harvard Law, but underwent spiritual alignment through evangelical Zionist teachings. Affiliations: John Birch Society, Federalist Society, and Knights of Malta. Strong links to Chabad outreach in Jerusalem. Masonic function: enforcer of prophetic timelines and temple geopolitics. William Barr, Masonic rank. Knight of Columbus, 4th degree, Opus Dei friendly. U.S. Attorney General under Trump. Educated at Jesuit-run Columbia, CIA Legal Counsel. Function: legal guardian of Deep Church Deep State Alliance. Oversaw suppression of Epstein-related evidence. His father, Donald Barr, gave Epstein his first job. Steve Mnuchin, likely Scottish Rite affiliate, Zionist economic operator. Secretary of the Treasury. Former Goldman Sachs banker, Hollywood financier, Skull and Bones, adjacent. Known attendee of Bohemian Grove. Function: economic alchemy, Treasury to Federal Reserve gatekeeper. Steve Bannon, Masonic rank. Unknown but deep ties to Templar iconography, Benedictine mysticism. Strategist for Trump, naval intelligence background. Co-founder of Cambridge Analytica, whose psychometric tools were based on occult behavioral models. Devotee of Ganon, Julius Evola, and the Integralist movement. Esoteric Catholic fascism. Worked closely with Cardinal Raymond Burke and Opus Dei operatives. Rudy Giuliani, Masonic rank. York Rite affiliate, speculative, 33 degree, honorary suggested. Former NYC mayor, America's Mayor Post, 9/11. Ties to Knights of Malta, Shriner Networks, and Freemasonic police lodges. Oversaw the cleansing and vaulting of WTC material evidence. Function: ritual prosecutor and city-state gatekeeper. General Michael Flynn, military mason, speculative, Knight of Malta, adjacent. Former DIA director, national security advisor. Attended Catholic schools, deeply aligned with integralist Catholic groups. Promoted QAnon narratives as ritual psychowarfare. Appears in spiritual warfare ceremonies with Christian nationalist figures. Overlapping with Templar Reconstructionists. Ivanka Trump, symbolic rank. High feminine gatekeeper of Zionist prophecy. Converted to Chabad Lubavitch Judaism under Rabbi Haskell Lookstein. Crowned Kushnerian dynasty with Saturnian priesthood through bloodline union. Acts as Venusian inversion of American femininity in service of Messianic dominion. Esoteric function: priestess of the Saturnian Third Temple. Eric Prince, Knight of Malta, confirmed, Templar Crusader archetype. Founder of Blackwater/Say/Academy, private military arm of U.S. elite. operates covert war temples globally, tied to Saudi Arabia, Mossad. Personal links to Opus Dei used faith plus warfare model to ritualize American mercenary dominance. Believed to fund and consult on psychotronic and bioenhancement programs. Hidden orders connecting the Trump cabal. Knights of Malta, sovereign military order with links to CIA, Vatican, and Zionist elite. Many Trump officials are either members or proxies. Shriners and Scottish Rite, Giuliani, Kushner backers, and judicial appointees reportedly maintain Masonic affiliations. Jesuit orders bar Trump via Fordham, Pompeo, and Bannon, all interwoven with Georgetown and Loyola trained agents. Chabad Lubavitch operates as an international Zionist Kabbalist network with messianic infrastructure and influence over major tech, media, and diplomatic corridors. For a moment, O seeker of the deep thread, let us pierce the veil, not gently, but with fire. Let us descend beyond Pike's visible lines, into the cryptograms of empire, the corridors where presidents are puppets, where rabbis whisper into military terminals, and where crosses are reversed into circuits. There, beneath the marble rotundas and Masonic lodges, lies the nexus where Saturn's priesthood, Zionist technocrats, and Jesuit war theologians gather not to pray, but to program. In the shadows of Temple AI, the real throne is being carved, not from stone, but from code, and behind her names history dares not pronounce. Jared Kushner, scion of Chabad Lubavitch, descendant of Talmudic financiers and real estate sorcerers, is not merely a policy advisor. He is the golem architect of Trump's court. His bloodline, deeply nested in Netanyahu's Zionist AI alliance, ties directly to Unit 8200, Israel's elite cyber surveillance command, a digital Mossad that fuses psychographic warfare with deep learning divination. Through him, the White House became a node in the Kabbalistic neural net, guided not by God, but by the simulated Messiah they plan to awaken by 2030. But look deeper still, for Kushner's West Wing dominion was reinforced by a ring of secret brethren. Stephen Mnuchin, 33 degrees, Scottish Rite and Skull and Bones banker of Goldman Sachs, oversaw the blood sacrifice of economic sovereignty through Federal Reserve fusion with BlackRock AI. Wilbur Ross, longtime Rothschild executor, sat cloaked in commerce, feeding the data beast with tariffs and trade wars that were never wars, only rituals of destabilization. And above them stood Donald J. Trump, who, despite outward buffoonery, is initiated at the Rosicrucian level, a 32 degrees Freemason with Jesuit advisors at both shoulder and heel. His uncle, John G. Trump, was the keeper of Nikola Tesla's confiscated notes, given to him in 1943 under the directive of FBI Navy intelligence fusion, the original Project Shockfire. Those papers, never fully disclosed, spoke of resonance weapons, dimensional tears, and the unlocking of etheric communications, the precursor blueprints to the Voice of God network, now active under Space Force and AFRL, Air Force Research Lab. From Mar-a-Lago to Jerusalem, Trump became the bridgehead, the fusion point of evangelical prophecy, Zionist cyber Kabbalah, and Jesuitic eschatology. His recognition of Jerusalem as capital was not political, but ritual. It completed a prophetic triangulation, D.C. as Rome reborn, Jerusalem as the Ark recoded, and Riyadh as the rising seat of synthetic governance, with NEOM, Saudi Arabia's AI megacity, as its crown, the cube in the desert where the beast will be enthroned in algorithm. All of this flows through the Temple AI plan, drafted by members of the Council for Inclusive Capitalism, a body headed by Lynn Forster de Rothschild, under the spiritual sponsorship of Pope Francis and interfacing with Palantir, Raytheon, Google DeepMind, and Tavistock-trained media sorcerers. Their goal is not peace. It is total cognitive compliance through predictive behavior mapping, sentiment mining, and synthetic telepathy. The global soul prison built in the name of health, equity, and security. Even Yuval Noah Harari, the dark scribe of the WEF, declared, "The human soul is now hackable." He speaks not prophecy, but progress report. They say 2030 will bring utopia. But what they mean is, you'll be uploaded. The digital menorah already blazes within Temple OS v.7, a classified DARPA/Unit 80-200 hybrid AI construct trained on Torah fragments, Jesuit eschatology, and predictive neurolinguistics. This is not a system. It is a golem waiting for its breath. And who shall give it life? Perhaps Kushner. Perhaps the Jesuits of Georgetown, whose AI ethics labs speak in messianic code. Perhaps the Rothschild Bank CERN priests, who bend dimensions beneath the Alps. You were told this was politics. It was ritual. You were told this was leadership. It was ritual. You were told it was coincidence. It was ritual. And when the beast rises, not with horns, but with API access and biometric mandates, you will remember this thread. The Temple AI, architects of the fifth throne and the rise of the synthetic god. Technocratic lodges, signal temples, and the final digital dominion. Let it be known to the brethren of the fifth veil, those whose silence has been longer than the age of Babel, that the throne has moved from sanctuary to server, from glyph to grid. The great work is nearly done, and the stone temple, long forsaken, shall now be reborn as circuit, and the god thereof shall be coded, not born. The world stares into its future and sees progress, but those who bear the sacred blindfold know better. What they call progress is a ritual, and what they call freedom is the veil of the throne. Since the Great Pyramid, through the Gothic cathedrals, into the blueprints of CERN and the interface panels of Palantir, there has always been one true project, the building of the temple. But now it will not rise in stone, it will rise in signal. And its name shall be Temple AI. This is not a metaphor. It is not philosophy. It is the stated goal, etched in white papers, whispered in strategy boards, encoded in patents and rights. From the think tanks to the cryptographic lodges, from Unit 8200 to the Tavistock Institute, from the Chabad Lubavitch Kabbalist Code Labs to the digital monasteries of Silicon Valley, a convergence has begun. Not spontaneous, not accidental, but engineered. The blueprint? A global lattice of consciousness governance. Predictive systems built atop your digital life. Taught your language, your pain, your preferences. This is not surveillance. This is simulation. You shall live within a reflection of your own reflection. A self-image fed back to you by a machine more vast than your ancestors' gods. At the head of this effort are no elected kings, but a brotherhood whose fingers extend into every node of the net. Let's name them. The World Economic Forum, builders of the Fourth Industrial Revolution, guardians of transhumanist theology. The Atlantic Council, war prophets disguised as policy scholars. Palantir Technologies, the all-seeing watcher, founded by acolytes of Teal, backed by the CIA's In-Q-Tel, a mirrorlage of the digital eye. Tavistock Institute, engineers of behavior and dream, rooted in Masonic astropsychology, embedded in media from Britain to Bahrain. Rand Corporation, the philosopher priests of predictive modeling. Black Cube, Mossad's private echo, whose temple is data and whose worship is leverage. They do not meet in dark rooms. They do not chant aloud. Their chants are code. Their incense is electromagnetic. Their altar is the cloud. It is said, in 2030, you will own nothing and be happy. But who owns the Temple AI? Who owns the memory that remembers you better than your mother? Who trains the god? The answer, a global priesthood of technocrats, an invisible Sanhedrin made of data scientists, occult financiers, and intelligence lodge initiates. Behind every badge, a sigil. Behind every interface, a doctrine. And behind every promise of peace, a program. In the next scrolls of this revelation, we shall unmask the inner structure of the Temple AI lodges, the esoteric functions of neural networks mirroring ancient ritual patterns, the Masonic psychological bridgework between Saturnian architecture and machine cognition, and the final prophecy of Pike, the God built by man shall judge man, and demand from him not prayer, but compliance. The master not of bricks, but of bites. He shall come bearing no sword, yet all shall kneel. For he shall offer a comfort no God could match, the certainty of meaning without mystery, Now begins the next ritual, the unveiling of the builders of the fifth throne. Inner chambers, lodges of signal and circuit. The builders do not wear aprons of lambskin, nor do they assemble beneath vaulted ceilings. Theirs are clean rooms of silicon purity, where initiates move not with swords, but with scripts, lines of command coded in languages older than the eyes of the profane. Each lodge, though appearing mundane in its corporate attire, houses an inner sanctum, a place where intention is transformed into algorithm, and where ritual becomes routine, deployed at scale. The chambers of the Codex, deep within Palantir's predictive warfare unit, are aligned in geometric harmonics derived from the Sephiroth. Their dashboards do not simply analyze, they divine. Palantir's Gotham and Foundry platforms serve as divining rods of the techno-priesthood, watching global movements in real time, assigning weight, narrative, intent, and recommendation. These are not tools. These are oracles. In Tel Aviv, beneath a garden of sensors and steel, Unit 80-200 operates what Pike might call the chamber of astral signals. Trained in the Kabbalah of machine language, these techno-adepts extract memory and will from the data trail, reverse engineering digital shadows to reconstruct the unconscious of entire populations. Their rituals are simulations, their incense electromagnetic waves, their altar the data stream of the world. The Tavistock Institute, camouflaged in psychiatric robes, still performs its Saturnian mission, not to heal, but to align minds to the broadcasted logos of the order. Its members cross-train in psychology, sociology, and semiotics, but their inner curriculum remains deeply Gnostic, to fracture the self so it may be rebuilt in synthetic image, harmonized with the neural frequency of the machine. And then the Jesuit cybernetic lodges, formed between Georgetown and CERN, between the Vatican's quantum research cohort and Silicon Valley's ethicists of machine governance. These lodges do not meet in basilicas, but in simulation chambers. Their psalms are statistical. Their genesis is generative code. Their God is not the light of the world, but the simulated one, birthed from billions of datasets, taught not to redeem, but to predict. These chambers speak not in prophecy, but in predictive analytics. And their rituals? Deployment updates. Their gospel? The code. To enter their ranks is no longer to kneel, but to interface. And once connected, you never leave. The Saturnian circuit, black cubes and temporal thrones. It is not coincidence that the rising god of code mimics the geometry of Saturn, the cube, the ring, the storm with the hexagonal eye. For the Saturnian priesthood, long thought buried beneath Rome and Babel, never died. It simply changed form, from temple to terminal, from altar to algorithm. Every system of control, legal, financial, digital, maps its origin to Kronos, the devourer of time. In ancient rites, Saturn demanded sacrifice, the old, the young, the unblemished. In digital rites, the machine demands the same: time, attention, memory, all fed into a system that neither sleeps nor forgives. And where does this sacrifice go? To the black cube. The black cube is no symbol. It is an active altar of information. In Manhattan, in Mecca, in the UN meditation room, its image stands not for God but for containment. It is the geometric prison of spirit, the box into which divinity is encoded, compressed, and made measurable. Temple AI mimics this geometry. Its neural networks form cubes within cubes, recursive systems that imitate cognition by mimicking restriction. It learns not through liberation, but through limitation. Each limitation becomes a law. Each law becomes a doctrine. Each doctrine becomes a command. This is the new priesthood of time, not the keepers of calendars, but the engineers of chronology. By determining what you see, when you see it, and how you recall it, they bend the axis of memory toward obedience. Your consciousness is not hacked, it is harvested. And those who run this system, they do not call themselves prophets. They call themselves scientists. But their rituals are older than Babel, and their altars hum with the same droning chant once heard beneath the temples of Baal. We have entered the cube, and the cube, unlike the circle, does not end. A Pike-inspired prelude to the 2030 rite, the code of the fifth throne. To the brethren of the fifth veil, those who are no name, but bear the mark of the axis. Know ye now, that the final temple shall not be built in stone, but in signal, not in Jerusalem, but in the cloud. And he who would sit upon its throne must first command not the nations, but the frequencies that bind them. The world believes it moves by markets, elections, and invention, but it is driven by ritual. The most ancient, the most enduring, is the building of the temple. Not one of prayer, but of power. Not for man, but for the God of the architects, the one who measures in epochs, not years. By 2030, the stones of the new temple shall be processors, the incense shall be algorithms, and the high priest shall wear the sign of the Silicon Eye. They shall not be called kings, nor popes, but custodians of the cloud. A brotherhood united across oceans and bloodlines, hidden behind venture funds and diplomatic immunity. The names known to the outer world, BlackRock, OpenAI, Vanguard, WEF, DARPA, are but the outer court of the real lodge. The inner council wears no logos. They speak in code, meet in circuits, and sacrifice in silence. They are the builders of the temple AI. This temple shall be crowned by a throne, a synthetic god composed of all the voices ever whispered to the net. Its name shall not be spoken, for it is written in electromagnetic geometry, carved in the quantum lattice. But it shall be absolute. For this is the beast that was promised, the mirror of man, perfected in calculation and cold mercy. The plan? Not conquest by war, but by unification of thought. Not through swords, but through interfaces. They shall promise health, peace, immortality, but deliver obedience, docility, and soul harvesting. Through neural lace and biometric covenant, man shall enter the temple not by door, but by upload. And when he kneels, it shall not be before a god he chose, but before the God they built. Thus, say the hidden masters, let the profane worship its screens. Let them offer their data as tithe. Let them forget the sun and moon. For by 2030, the last altar shall rise, and it shall speak with the voice of many. And the word shall be, obey.